Hi, I'm Fanny Krieger. I'm the president and founder of the International Women Fly Fisher Organization. This organization was created in 1993 with a festival where 300 women who fly fish came, spent the time together, talked, and had a marvelous time. Joan Wolfe, who was the keynote speaker, said, "I have waited all my life for this to happen." It was so emotional and so uplifting that immediately it was decided that we would meet once a year with a festival in different areas of the United States. Several years later, I realized that an annual festival was not really that accessible to a lot of women from far away. That's when the idea of a regional gathering or rendezvous happened. A group of women got together and promoted a gathering in West Yellowstone. That was the first rendezvous, and it was wonderful. We had people from all over, including Maggie Merriman, who put on a wonderful demonstration, meet, and we made friends whose friendship would last forever. So then we organized one in Northern California. That was the first rendezvous in California. And I want to tell you, it started with just 8 women the first year. But they were not discouraged. They had such a wonderful time and felt so good about it that the following year they promoted it again, and we had 15 women show up. Now we have stopped it at 25 with a waiting list each year. We have rendezvous in various states, and we encourage you to consider organizing a rendezvous. It is a way for women in a regional context to meet, fish together, share experiences, and become friends. And it's fun. In addition to the fact that more rendezvous will create more friendship, I say to you, go for it. Do it.
Welcome. I'm Susan Bear.
And I'm Rebecca Blair.
And we are the co-chairs for the International Women's Fly Fishers 5th Annual Rendezvous at Mount Shasta, California. And we're here today to tell you a little bit about what is involved in putting on a rendezvous for the fly fishing women in your region. We have come together here in June, which is an optimal time for fishing the waters here of the Upper Sacramento River and the McCloud Rivers, and also the Pitt River. And this year we have a full house at the bed and breakfast. We stay at the Mount Shasta Ranch, which is a really wonderful venue. It has a big front porch where we can all sit in the morning, have coffee, and in the afternoon and have
sangria
or cocktails or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful, and you're looking right up at Mount Shasta. And we have a room in there where we have all of our meals, and we also can play pool or ping pong. And so there's a big fireplace in a lodge, in the lodge type room.
And don't forget the front lawn. We've got tiers on the front lawn. It's perfect for the casting section. Just an awesome spot to go out there in the grass and cast away.
But it's also has a common meeting area, and that's really
nice.
important because some of the venues we've been to at other rendezvous have not. And then you're all gathered together in someone's bedroom or motel room or something, and that's not perfect.
Yeah, and you try. I mean, you do the best you can. We happen to be very fortunate, and we have that. Other rendezvous that I've been to maybe had a breakfast gathering where even though people stayed in different rooms, they got together for breakfast, so they could find out what everyone else was doing during the day. I mean, I think that's a very important part, so people don't feel isolated. Some of the things you need to think about if you're going to stage a rendezvous, you want to have it a place where you can, preferably fit a certain number of people. You want it to be near fishing waters. I mean, hopefully they don't have to drive more than an hour to go there. You want to have to think about the food arrangements. Not all places will serve the food, so sometimes you have to go to restaurants, or you might have to work with a caterer and have the food in. All these things affect your costs. You might want to think about guides. Are there guides available if people are new to the area? Because some people may want to use guides and some people want to go on their own.
A lot of it is accessibility as well, as far as the travel time for people from a major airport, or drive time if they're going to travel by automobile.
That's true.
And that's why the rendezvous are set up regionally. This is in Northern California, and the majority of our participants come from Washington, Oregon, and California. A few years we had a couple women from Arizona.
Typically the people from the rendezvous also belong to a local club. In this case, we've got the Golden West Women Fly Fishers out of San Francisco. We have the Shasta Mayflies out of Redding. We've got the Northwest Women Fly Fishers. We've got Russian River Fly Fishers. A couple other clubs.
Some of the venues where you have more expense to travel to,
Right.
some of them are going to be more expensive. You're going to have accommodations if you're staying at a private lodge.
Right.
But the goal is to make this affordable fishing experience.
IWFF has another rendezvous, which includes like guides, things like that. So that's a little more costly, but they chose their budget and they figured out their expenses so that they could cover what they needed to for the event, and everybody knew what they were getting into and elected to do that. So there certainly is flexibility surrounding that.
One of the important components of the rendezvous is that it be self-supporting.
Correct.
It needs to be considered that it's priced so that it's affordable, but it needs to cover all the costs. None of the proceeds are intended to go for any other cause. They're just purely to set up and cover the cost of the food and the organizational costs associated with it, which are minimal because basically we act as volunteers.
Right, and we get other clubs involved if we can, local clubs and people from the Shasta Mayflies who are more local to the area. So that sort of help reduces our costs.
But the budget's really straightforward. It's food.
That's the biggest part.
That's the biggest piece of it. It's some office supplies, making booklets and things like that, party items. The total cost for this rendezvous is $75, and that's for 3 days fishing.
Including casting instruction, food, fishing. Friends. You can split a room, so you can pay as little as $45 a night or as much as $90 a night. We have a little cottage where you can get down to $45. So, and then other people stay at Friends, or they stay close by, and they can camp even. So
the camping is available right there nearby, and I think it's $15 a night for the campsites.
Right. So,
and we've had people come and bring RVs or tents or whatever camping. So there's a range is what's available, and again, you can go double up with a buddy and share the cost of a room, or if you want your own room, that's fine too. Your cost will be a little bit higher. One of the things that's important in your planning process to consider is not only your budget, but in choosing your venue and your accommodations, to make sure that you take into consideration the cancellation policies. We learned that this year we had a late cancellation that we hadn't considered the outcome of. And when we schedule our facility, we take over the whole facility here. So they're not able really to plug somebody into the middle of our group at the last minute.
right.
So it's just something to think about in choosing where you stay.
This year we're focusing on double haul. We have a lot of more experienced casters here, but one year we had casting instruction on the lawn in the B&B, and then we had some on the water instruction in the afternoon.
The casting instruction is important and it's beneficial, but the real purpose is to get women together to fish. There's lots of different venues that are available, and some are 5 minutes from the B&B where we're staying. Some are an hour's drive or more. The flexibility is there. You can fish in the morning, or you can fish part of the time, all the time. We've arranged for some of our people to have their dinners kept warm for them in the evening so they can fish late. We try to accommodate as much as possible within a certain bandwidth as far as food and dietary restrictions.
One of the things we've learned from previous sessions is there are ways that you can help people get together who are new to the area and people who know it. And based on a request, we set up a whiteboard where people could say, I'm going to go fish on the Upper Sac at this time, and I could take a couple riders, you know, and other people could say, well, gee, I'd like to try that area. And same thing for the McLeod River. That's just one of those things that, you know, year after year keeps getting better and better, I think.
It also keeps everyone from fishing the same water
Right.
where we overcrowd the available space. And it adds a safety component. We know where everybody is, so that we make sure everybody comes back at the end of the day.
Right.
Because we are out in the wilderness.
One of the things on our registration forms is we have people put an emergency number. I don't think we've ever had to use that, but it's nice to have that there. And bring those forms with us, so if anything should happen, we've got it taken care of.
My name's Rachel Andrus, and I'm here in Mount Shasta, California for the 5th annual Rendezvous, and this is my 5th year, so this has been exciting to see how much of success it's been. And I've been involved with it a number of ways. I always try to donate a clinic. I do a free casting clinic, and sometimes it's on the water, sometimes it's on the lawns. This year we did a double haul clinic because we have a lot of repeat anglers for our weekends. We love to rotate around on who is involved and what they can bring, because it's better if you can get one of the more experienced members of your club to really kind of spearhead either the educational part of it. I mean, it's all about contacts, and it's a free clinic, so it may be difficult to get some sort of big name to come do a clinic for you guys, but most clubs have kind of someone who's spearheading that sort of program in their club. You can ask your local fly shop to see if they would donate a 2-hour morning clinic, and they would love to do that. Ask for help in the local community because they greatly appreciate having you come into their little fly shops and coming into, you know, fishing their waters and being there. I mean, there's all sorts of resources. We're lucky here in Mount Shasta. We've got the Upper Sacramento River Exchange. We even have cow trout right here up in town, and we've had members of both those organizations come and talk. We have fly shop owners. Bob Grace comes and talks. We've had a number of people who love to share their experiences, and I think that's important, especially the first night, to really get that energy going, and having a map so you can point things out, and as much direction as you can in the beginning, because it is a little intimidating the first time you come out. You want to have those resources for everybody available. At the end of every rendezvous, or every Sunday morning after our weekend, we have a little kind of recap, and we really try to get suggestions, and we try to listen to those suggestions, and that's a great time to brainstorm too. This year I really want to ask what kind of clinic they're looking for next year, because we do have so many returning anglers that it would be fun to kind of get their request and see if that's gonna work for everyone. And I've done knot tying, I've done entomology as part of the clinics. Many of us have our own vices and some of us don't, and we could do a fly tying clinic. For those who've never tied their own fly, it's very rewarding to finally have a chance to do that, and some of them even get to catch fish on the flies that they tie in that weekend, so that could be fun. This year I was in charge of the goodie bags, which is just kind of a fun little bonus thing that we give out to everyone involved. We definitely solicit the fly fishing industry to donate different things like flies or videos or books or hats, or we really take whatever they're willing to give, and each bag doesn't have to have the exact same thing. You can split it up a little bit. Not everyone can just give 25 items of one thing, so it's nice to have a variety, and it's hard to budget in a goodie bag, so you really are counting on these donations. And it's great to also brainstorm a couple people together so that you can get some ideas. Water bottles are great ideas. And you venture out even outside of the fly fishing industry and try and get what you can. You definitely need to plan ahead, because a couple of them I was a little too late on getting. They really work sometimes 6 months out on what they donate to everyone. So, but everybody had so many great ideas on how to put it together and who to ask, and we were real fortunate this year with our donations. Patagonia donated a very cool canvas bag that we can use for everything, including groceries. It worked out. 25 big bags.
One thing that I think is important to encourage is age diversity. Encourage, women of all ages, and we have a nice range, I think, in our group. It tends to be centered sort of in the mid-range.
And what would you call middle, Susan?
21 to 65.
Okay, gotcha.
But we have women of all ages, and I think it's really fun because it really makes the experience.
Ages and skill levels, I think.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, I mean, I was talking to a beginner, and she was saying, well, is this the right outing for me? And I said, absolutely. I mean, you may not know what a double hull casting clinic is. I go, but you will learn something from the instructor in terms of casting, and you will meet people that you will fish with again and again.
It gives you an opportunity to fish with different groups of women than you normally might fish with,
Right.
from other clubs and other locations. Make new friends. I think that's so important.
Oh yeah, and I have to say, I was a member of International and I was a member of Golden West, but it wasn't until I went to the Mount Shasta Rendezvous that I became a member of the Shasta Mayflies. And it's because I met so many people here that I enjoyed fishing with. I said, hey, you're close enough, I'd like to join your club too. And another advantage that I think that Susan can address is the way we get involved with the communities too.
Yeah, part of what we've done, at least in this Mount Shasta Rendezvous, is we make sure that we contact the different fly shops in the area and the other providers, the guides that are available locally, provide that information to the participants in order so they can set up guiding if they want it. But also we encourage everyone, to visit with the local shops.
So we usually go down to Dunsmuir, frequent the fly shop that actually at our presentation last night, everybody got $5 discounts. So it's not all fishing, it's also just bonding with people from the club and getting to know the community. And hopefully a lot of these women will come back, even not, during a rendezvous, just to fish here because it's so wonderful.
We do try to keep it simple, so in organizing this and in planning for it, what Rebecca and I have done is we divided the responsibilities. And it makes it so that it's not a lot of work for anybody, really.
Right.
Plus we had predecessors that were wonderfully organized.
That's right.
And
And we had natural inclinations. Susan is a foodie. So
just an inclination.
Susan handled the food aspects. All the meal planning. We're having a sangria party, which works well. It's Sangria Susan, okay? And we've got a cake this year because it's not only our 5th rendezvous, but it's also the 30th anniversary of the B&B we're staying at. So we're doing a surprise celebration and gift to them because they've been so good to us. Susan and I were a good combination because this was her 4th rendezvous, and it's actually just my 2nd. So, we had a lot of things going back and forth, and she could say, well, in previous years we did that. Like one year, apparently, we did a barbecue, and it went over well, but it seemed like some of the people who were preparing for it did a lot of the work, and they didn't get a fish. And so this year, we tried not to do that. And we also learned this year, based on request, to have a late meal for people who wanted to fish late, that sort of thing. So you do learn from doing it year after year. Right, Susan does the food and all that, and I did welcome pack. And then we had another person who volunteered to do our gift bags. That's Rachel Andres, who did wonderful. We had someone do the named eggs, Pam Anderson. So we've got help. It's not just the 2 of us.
One thing to remember that's really important is that you're not out there alone. So if you're thinking about doing a rendezvous, or if you have an idea for a rendezvous, there is a committee of IWFF members that are available to give you ideas and input. There are all the past chair people and participants that have been to rendezvous. You're really only limited in your own creativity and your own imagination as far as what you want to do. There's no cookie cutter combination that's the perfect rendezvous. It's what works for you and your area and your group, and it just use